Everybody, today we'll be going over the fourth section of your eyelash written exam. Your fourth section is eyelash application and removal. So I'm going to screen share. So your fourth section is eyelash application and removal. This is worth 37.5% of your grade, and it has 15 questions. So this is the largest section in your written exam. The topics covered in this section are application and refill, implements, isolation, products, and removal. And again, this is on your PSI exam bulletin, so this is available to you guys whenever you need it. Those sections that are in your eyelash application removal section are found in Chapter 2, the Then and Now Beauty Briefcase, Chapter 3, Products Chemistry, Chapter 5, Shapes of the Face and Eyes, Chapter 8, Protocols and Procedures, and then Chapter 10, Getting Unstuck. And these are all found in your Eyelash CEO book. So the first section that we're going to go over is the Then and Now Beauty Briefcase. This is Chapter 2 in your guys' textbooks. So this covers what is a beauty briefcase, early products and techniques, current products and techniques, and business building and making a dispensary. The reason that we're in this chapter is a little bit because of the implements and the products. So this not only explains the previous products and implements, but also the current products and implements. So this tells you about single-use items, which are your lint-free applicators, 4x4s, 2x2s, under-eye gel pads, your tapes in various forms, glue rings, and your mascara wands. This also includes your multi-use tools. These will be your tweezers, your mirrors, things like that. Your products, which will be your cleansers, primers, removers, bonders, adhesives, and then the actual equipment, which will be your fan, tweezer holder, water bottle nozzle, nano mister, things that make your job a little bit easier but aren't necessarily a must-have. The other area that becomes important is page 12, 11, and 12 in your book. This goes over the different types of tweezers and what they're used for. So the eye shape or straight tweezers are ideal for isolation in a classic lash extension application. These tweezers are thin, long, and help you move natural lashes out of the way while maintaining control. The F-shaped tweezer are ideal for isolation and attachment of the classic lash extension. They vary from straight as the eye-shaped tweezers to a slight downward curve that allows you to place more of the tweezer into the lash line and can be used for isolation, pickup, and placement of your extensions. The A-shaped tweezer is great for picking up and attaching classic eyelash extensions. You have the X-shaped tweezer. This is ideal for classic eyelash extension pickup and placement. These X-shaped tweezers hold the classic extension in place without causing tension to your hand, meaning it locks your eyelash extension in place in your tweezer, making it to where it causes less strain, which is great if you often lose your placement while you're picking up isolation tweezers and things like that. And then it does have a slight disbenefit of it kind of slowing you down, because sometimes it does get a little bit stuck. You have the S-shaped tweezer. These also work well with isolation on clients that have prominent foreheads or deep set eyes. The deep hook allows you to maintain proper wrist placement while still isolating when you need to see over the area. The next one that you have is your round-shaped tweezers. They are for picking up tape or iPad removal, or even picking up the eyelash extension strips from your tray. because they don't poke your client, but they're not really ideal for actually picking up or placing eyelash extensions. So you may get multiple choice questions asking which of the following tweezers is the best tweezer for isolation, which of the following tweezers would not be a good choice for volume lashes, those types of questions. So that is why that chapter is included. The next chapter that we have is chapter 3. This is product chemistry. In this chapter, it talks about the chemistry in beauty, ingredients in beauty products, effects of ingredients in beauty products, cyanoacrylate, humidity and pH, details of the adhesive and shelf life and bond, as well as frequently asked questions. Obviously, this is going to help you with that products section in that written exam. So I'm not going to go super deep into this chapter because you really just need this whole chapter instead of just a bit or piece here and there. So figuring out what cyanoacrylate is, what your glue is actually made of, what your lash remover is made out of, and how that affects your lash service are some of the questions that you might see on this exam, asking, you know, what the pH level for eyelash extensions should be at, what your humidity level should generally be at, things like that, how thinner bonds, which are stronger and last a little bit longer, produce a faster, more even type cure, reduces the extension's chances of getting stuck together after removing in isolation. Those types of questions are why you need to study this chapter. You don't really need to study specifically the Boss Lady adhesives, but just have a general understanding of all eyelash adhesives, bonders, shampoos, things like that. How to properly take care of any of your products, proper storage, disposal, those types of questions. Chapter 5, we already went over in our lash section of the eyelash consultation. So that chapter just again goes over figuring out more of that actual application, refill, styling, what implements, like if they have that more prominent forehead, what tweezer you want to use, and how their face and eye shape will actually affect the application and refill of your lashes. But again, you guys already went over that chapter in the eyelash consultation section. The next area that we have is chapter 8. This is your protocols and procedures. This one, again, will help with that application and refill, as well as isolation and removals. So this tells you not only about classic eyelash extensions, how they vary from volume, hybrid sets. Figuring out those differences may also be questions that you'll see on the test. What true or false, a hybrid is a mix between classic and a volume set, things like that. So do focus on not only the actual procedure, but think of those types of questions that they're going to ask. What's the difference between volume? What's the difference between classic? How are you going to explain them? What tweezers do you use? Do you use a different taping method? If you go to page 89 and 90, this specifically goes over the section of separation and isolation. So again, as you can see, a specific topic that is covered in this section. So not only one that you'll need in your textbook, but also one that you'll want to study for this exam. So figuring out that isolation is the process of getting one single natural lash in between your tweezers for the purpose of securing an extension safely to it. It is a simple two-step process. Some clients will require you to sweep them with both tweezers into the lash line to assist you with isolation. Step 1 is to brush the lash line to straighten the natural lash as much as possible. And then step 2, with your isolation tweezers closed, go down into the lash line, pass the natural lashes onto the tape, and open your tweezers wide. Repeat this step in different places until you have isolated one natural lash. This also tells you a little bit more about where you want it placed, how much glue you want on that section. You want at least 1 to 2 millimeters of your eyelash extension to be placed on that natural lash. It also goes into volume fan making, the difference between classic application placement versus the volume application, and just figuring out the difference between those and a hybrid set. This also goes over on page 94 of your book. This is the removal methods, another section that is specifically talked about in the requirements for this section. So knowing when to remove the different methods of removal, when you would use those different methods, whether you're peeling it, whether you are using the full lash removal and doing a few full removal versus a spot removal, and how to accomplish all of those types of removals. This also covers, again, that patch test that we talked about when we were in the infection control chapter. So something that is also one of the chapters that we already went over. And then on page 97, it also has a section for specifically improving isolation as well. So make sure you find that area as well. The next chapter that we have is chapter 10. This is getting unstuck. In this chapter, it talks about getting unstuck, stopping eye twitching, better retention, troubleshooting, and frequently asked questions. So some of the questions that you might see on the test are, what would you do if this happened? They are more of those real life scenarios, and then it's choose which one fits best for that scenario. It's not a right or wrong answer. It's which one works best for that situation. So this is also a good section to study for that application and refill, figuring out how best to do isolation, what implements may help you more, and then getting familiar with, if something goes wrong, this is how you fix it. So there's a lot of times that when you are performing eyelash extensions, you may see that your client's eye is significantly twitching, which will affect your eyelash application. So this can be caused by stress, eye strain, caffeine, alcohol, lack of sleep, having dry eyes, those types of things, and how best to help treat those issues and make it to where you can have that best application. And I know you guys have already gone over these chapters, but again, just getting that refresher in right before you take this exam. This also goes over how to help maintain that client health, how to make sure your application, again, another topic that was specifically listed, making sure that that application is the best application it can be, not going too fast, not going too slowly, what's causing those retention issues, and then how to fix it. On page 114, this is when it gets into that quick reference. This is how you stop some of these issues. That also might just help with some of those questions on the test. So making sure that you're not using too much glue. If you are experiencing eye twitching, how to address eye twitching. If your client has eye irritation, what is the best way to address that? So you're switching to a sensitive adhesive, start fanning often, more often than you would with a normal client. Check to make sure that you did the patch test, things like that. Is your adhesive drying too slow, too fast? Those types of questions also may be included. So make sure you study those sections as well. So again, all of this is in not only your beauty CEO book, there may also be some additional information in your CEO Lash quick reference book for your protocols and procedures that goes a little bit more into that separation and isolation, as well as frequently asked questions, what happens when things go wrong, and a little bit more in depth on the difference between volume lashes and classic lashes. So you may get questions because it did include implements on those tweezers that we already covered, but also the difference between a volume fan versus a classic lash, the size, diameter, shape, curl, all of those could be questions that could be included in that exam. So if you go to page 22, this has some of those different lash curls, different lash lengths, the different lash thickness, a classic versus a 2D versus a 5D volume, those types of things. The different eye styles, what extensions you'll be using in those styles, things like that. So make sure not only are you consulting your textbook, but also that quick reference book that you guys have as well. That is all I think I have for you on our last section, which is eyelash application and removal. So again, if you have any questions about this section or any other sections in your practical or your written exam, please feel free to ask any of your instructors and we'll be able to help you study that section or find that information for you. Feel free to use your textbooks, feel free to go on Quizlet, Kia, those types of things. They have a lot of really good references on questions to start studying for these tests. I know they also have a couple on YouTube that you can do so that you can get a real more simulated how it would be for your test by not being able to see all the answers all the time. So that is also another option as well. And if you want suggestions for that, your instructors can give those to you. I don't have them off the top of my head right now, but we do have them available as well. So I will see you in the next video. Thank you. Bye.